All right, we'll be looking at 7.1.3, convert unit rates. That's in the 7th grade textbook, Chapter 1, Lesson 3, and it starts on page 25. So I need you to, on the top of your page, write 7.1.3, convert unit rates, page 25. If you need to pause the video, go ahead. Alright, we're going to go straight over to example 1. So what I'd like for you to put on your paper is example 1. And we've talked about conversions before. This isn't new. When we talked about conversions, we talked about the magic 1, and we had taken notes on the magic 1. In this example, it says a remote control car travels at a rate of 10 feet per second. How many inches per second is this? So I want you to start here by writing 10 feet per inches, or sorry, per second. My bad. Per 1 second. Okay? So we're going to use our magic 1. Okay? So step 1, use magic 1. And our magic 1 for this one is going to be feet to inches, because ultimately we want to know how many inches per second instead of feet. So we have 12 inches equals 1 foot. Then we set this up so that we can cross-simplify out the common units. Cross-simplify out the common units. So I'm going to make this 10 feet in 1 second times. Now, if you remember, we had talked about making it so that we could cross-simplify the units. That means that in this case, my 12 inches will be on top and my 1 foot will be on the bottom. That way, I can get rid of the feet because they'll cross-simplify out, and I'm left with inches and seconds. So now I'm just going to do my multiplication if there's no other cross-simplifying I can do. I'm going to do 10 times 12 inches, which is 120 inches. And then 1 second times 1 is 1 second. And so my final answer is 120 inches in 1 second, or 120 inches per second. And remember, if you need to pause more, just because I'm moving ahead because you're still writing, that's okay. Alright, example number 2. I'll start down here this time. Example number 2 said a swordfish can swim at a rate of 60 miles per hour. How many feet per hour is this? So I'm going to start with 60 miles per hour. So I'm going to start with my original, and I want us to convert it to how many feet per hour. So our hour is going to stay the same, but our feet's going to change. So we need to come up with our magic 1, and our magic 1 for this is going to be from miles to feet. And if you look in your reference sheet, it says that 5,280 feet equal 1 mile. And so I'm going to set up my multiplication problem, my 60 miles and my 1 hour on the bottom, and I'm going to put in my magic 1 here. Now, you have to decide what goes on top and what goes on the bottom, because that makes a big difference. If I put my 5,280 feet on the bottom, it's going to be 60 divided by 5,280. That's not going to work anyway, because if you notice, I won't be able to cross out any units, and I'll be left with miles and feet and hours and miles, and it's not going to work. So what we need to do is on the top put our feet, and on the bottom put our miles. That way we can cross-simplify out the miles. So cross-simplifying out the units, in this case miles, helps determine where you're going to put your numbers and makes it make more sense. Now we just need to do our hamburger, 60 times 5,280 miles, or sorry, feet, and then 1 hour times 1. So on the bottom, we're going to have our 1 hour, and on the top, it's 316,800 feet. So over here, our answer is 316,800 feet per hour. All right, the third example, example number 3. It says that Marvin walks at a speed of 7 feet per second. How many feet per hour is this? So here's what we have, 7 feet per 1 second. And what they want us to find out is how many feet per per hour. All right. So we're going from seconds to hours. Now, this is one of those things that maybe you know the conversion rate to go straight from seconds to hours. Otherwise, you might have to figure it out. So we know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Okay? But how many seconds are in 1 hour? Well, if you think about it, there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. And so if I want to know how many seconds there are in 1 hour, it's going to be the 60 times 60, which is 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. Okay, so this is going to be the magic one that we're going to use. I'll get rid of these other parts. All right, just so I can make more room for myself to write. All right, so I'm going to set it up 7 feet over 1 second. And I want to get rid of seconds and put hours in. So I'm going to put my seconds on top this time so that I can cross simplify out seconds. And my 1 hour is on the bottom because that's what I'm going to keep. So my seconds cross simplify and I'm left with feet per hour. See how that works? The units that are left in the position that they're in should be what I need. So I'm going to do 7 feet times 3,600, and that's going to be 25,200, and that's feet on top. And on the bottom, 1 times 1 hour will be 1 hour. So the answer is 25,200 feet in 1 hour. Woohoo! Oh, let me look at that stop and reflect. It says stop and reflect. To convert meters per hour to kilometers per hour, circle the relationship you would need. If you need to go from, let's see, I got to get closer to this because I can't see it very well. All right, so I want to go from meters per hour to kilometers per hour. So I'm going to go from meters to kilometers. So this is what I would need. My meters to kilometers. All right, so let's go to the next screen. All right, a gull can fly at a speed of 22 miles per hour. About how many feet per hour can the gull fly? So go ahead and do A on your own. I just put over here, multiplying by dividing out your common units and simplifying. So let's see where we get with A, and then we'll come back and work on D. So pause the video now so you can work on A. Alright, so for A, you should have written 22 miles in 1 hour, and that we ultimately want to know how many feet in 1 hour the gull can fly. And so we need to go from miles to feet, and we know that the conversion rate for that is 5,280 feet per mile. So I just need to be able to put that into a multiplication problem. So my 22 miles over 1 hour times my magic 1, which is going to be my miles on the bottom so I can cross simplify. That puts my feet on the top. When I cross simplify out my miles, I'm left with feet an hour, and that's exactly what I'm going to need for my final answer. So now I'm just going to do the math. I'm going to do 22 times the 5,280 feet. That's 116,160 feet in 1 hour. So let me write that better up here. Alright, 116,160 feet per 1 hour should be your final answer. Alright, now let's look at B. It says an Amtrak train travels 125 miles per hour. Convert the speed to miles per minute and round to the nearest tenth. I want you to work on that one on your own and then come back and we'll go over the answer together. So please pause the video now. Alright, so I set up just my beginning thing to show me what I'm wanting to do. I want to go from 125 miles per 1 hour to so many miles per minute. So I just need to find my magic 1. My magic 1 is going to be 60 minutes per hour, but 60 minutes in 1 hour, but how am I going to set that up so that it works for this? So I'm going to do my 125 miles in 1 hour and put my multiplier here. If I know that I'm going to be using 60 minutes in 1 hour, where is my hour going to go and where is my minutes going to go? Hopefully you see that your hour should go on top and your 60 minutes should go on the bottom. And this gives us a good example that we haven't seen yet in the book where we aren't going to get a 1 on the bottom. So let's go over this one. So first and foremost, I need to cross simplify out my common terms, my common units, cross simplify those out. I'm left with my miles per minute, which is what I want it to be. So when I do my hamburger, I end up with 125 miles over 60 minutes. Now, is that per minute? That is not per minute, right? So what I need to do is now divide 125 divided by 60 to find out how much it would be for 1 minute. So if I divide top and bottom by 60, I'll get a 1 on the bottom as my denominator, and 1 minute is exactly what I need. And I'll do my 125 divided by 60, and you'll get 2 point, now it's going to be 0, 8, and then 3 repeating, but it says to round it to the nearest tenth, and if it's 2.08, even with the 3 repeating next to it, rounding to the nearest tenth, I just look at my 8, and that tells me 4 or more, or 5 or more, 4 or less, let it rest, 5 or more, raise a score, right? So I need to raise it to 2.1 miles per minute. So 2.1 miles per minute is my final answer. All right, that one was a tricky one because it gave us a denominator of 60, and we certainly want it to be a unit rate, which we've talked about unit rates recently, so it's not something new, but we need to make it a unit rate by dividing top and bottom by 60. All right, so here's example number 4. So I want you to write example 4. And it says the average speed of one team in a relay race is about 10 miles per hour. What is the speed of feet per second? And I love this because this is giving you an idea of why we need to keep everything so organized when we're doing these. It's not mental math. It really is not always going to be mental math. Yes, there's times where it's like, duh, of course I can figure this out. But there's a lot of times where it's not. And this is one of those occasions. So 10 miles in 1 hour. And we want to know how many feet that'll be in per second. I got to move this around. All right, there. Give me just a little bit more space to work. All right, so the first thing that we do is we need to figure out what our magic ones are. Okay, we're going from miles to feet, and so I know that my magic one to go from miles to feet is going to be the 5,280 feet in 1 mile, and then I'm going from hour to second, and from what we did before I know that that's going to be 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. If you don't know that, then you're going to have to go minutes to seconds, or seconds to minutes, minutes to hours, that kind of thing. But I think by now you should be able to figure out how to come up with this number. So 3,600 seconds per hour. And now we're going to set up our beautiful multiplication problem. And just wait until you see how amazing this is going to look. So we've got our 10 miles. Okay, I'm writing too spaced out because we're going to need more space. All right, 10 miles in 1 hour. And times. And now my magic one for my miles is my 52,080 feet in 1 mile. I know my mile needs to be on the bottom because I need to cross simplify to get rid of it, right? So I'm going to put it on the bottom there. Now that cross simplifies out my miles, but I still have to get rid of hour. So my next magic one is going to be the 3,600 seconds for 1 hour. Now to decide which one goes on top and which one goes on the bottom, I decide, well, I want to cross simplify out my hour, so I need to put my unit of 1 hour on top and get my 3,600 seconds on the bottom. And again, I'm going to cross simplify out my hours now, and you'll see that the only units left on the top and then on the bottom are feet per second, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Now it's a matter of, can I cross simplify? Can I reduce some things here? What can I get done? Now, you can just multiply the whole thing out and then divide the whole thing. That's completely up to you, but if you want to try and simplify a little bit, I know that 10 goes into 3,600 by taking away one of the zeros. So now this is going to be 1 and this is going to be 360. When I see that both of these end with zeros, my next plan is let's go ahead and get rid of the zeros and divide both of those by 10. So now this new number is 528 and this new number is 36. So now I'm doing 1 times 528 times 1, which makes 528 feet, over 1 times 36, which is 36. Now I can do some other division to do my 528 divided by 36, and you'll end up with, does it say, it's going to be approximate because it's a decimal that goes on forever and ever and ever, but this will end up being, and let me make some space here, let me get a darker color. This will end up being 14.6 repeating over feet per 1 second. And so if I were to round that, it would be 14.7 feet in 1 second. So 10 miles per hour is the same as 14.7 feet per second, approximately. And so here's my answer. Crazy, right? It was a big mess, I know. But that's what you have to look forward to, and that's why I'm telling you it's important for you to pay attention to setting it up in order and having this, cross-simplifying and not just trying to do mental math. So, all right, that is the end of this chapter. I hope that you guys understood what I was going for here. If not, rewatch the video or see if you can watch somebody else's video. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in school. Bye.